and it's indeed my pleasure and privilege to introduce this evening's presenter. This gentleman wears many hats. Among them is that he's a former police officer. His claim to fame is being both a husband and father. He is also a dealshaker merchant and the CEO of his own enterprise, namely Sunlight Studios audiovisual production company. This gentleman is also the captain of the dealshaker Caribbean development team, a hard worker, a dedicated individual, someone I see as a pioneer in the digital fintech industry. So it's at this point in time, I'd like to hand over to this evening's presenter, Mr. Eric Alvarez. Eric, are you there, sir?
Yes, Mr. Cadiz, I'm here 100%.
All right, it's all over to you, sir.
Thank you, my lord. Let me just do the needful here and get things popping. So, are you seeing my screen, sir?
Indeed.
Lovely. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, looking on and listening to what we have to share. This is. Let me just stop this for a minute, just so I could kind of properly introduce myself. So, again, as I said, I always count it a privilege whenever I get the opportunity to share of this experience that we have been going through for the last few years. I joined this magnificent company in 2016. Actually, I came in a few months later than I should. I wouldn't say that I originally should, but a few months later than when the first opportunity came to me. I saw it, and like everybody else, I looked at it, shake my head, twisted, turned, but I eventually took the challenge, seized the opportunity, and got in. Let me just say on the outset, this has been a revolutionary change in my life. I've been a police officer for most of my adult life, for the greater majority is in terms of, profession. I've done a number of different things over the years, but most of my adult working life has been in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Prior to that, I've been involved in things like electrical installation, plumbing. I studied plumbing in school. I did straightening and painting. I did a number of different crafts and skills and jobs here and there. But along the way, looking back, I realized that there were opportunities that came my way, and for whatever reason, I did not seize it. I didn't capitalize on it, and I allowed certain things to pass. So where I am today, in a great sense, can be attributed to my decision to act on or to refuse and let those opportunities pass. But tonight as we've been doing for the last how many days, we're on a 60-day drive, 60 consecutive days, and we are presenting an opportunity that we honestly believe that everybody who hears this should jump at it, hold on to it for dear life, especially now with this COVID scenario that we're going through. So let me share my screen because I want to show you some stuff that I think may help you in determining whether this opportunity should be grabbed by you or if you feel you should just let it pass. But let me take you through some stuff. So in the first instance, make sure I'm getting this right. So what is an opportunity? I want us to look at two things tonight: crisis and opportunity. It's interesting to know that the word crisis comes from the Greek meaning to separate or to sift, which means to pass judgment, to keep only what is worthwhile. There's an opportunity. I want to listen to this carefully. There is an opportunity in every crisis. The deeper the crisis, the better the opportunity can be. The problem is many persons are incapable of seeing it. Now that says something right there. Not because you can't see something means it doesn't exist. And that is part of our human psyche that a lot of people can't come to terms with. They feel because they cannot see something, it doesn't exist. Although you are showing them evidence right in front of their face, but because they cannot see it, in their minds, it doesn't exist. So, in a crisis, people may feel fear, anxiety, confusion, and intense dread. Therefore, everyone will not respond the same way. How we respond will be based on how we interpret the current circumstances. Now, a word that comes to mind in a time of crisis is fear. But I want us to look at now 3 ways that we can interpret this thing. F-E-A-R. 1, first thing people see, false evidence appearing real. So they just accept whatever they see and they start to act on that. They don't take time to investigate, as we say in local parlance, to investigate. They don't take time to analyze. They just see it, it looks one way, and they just accept it at face value, and they make a decision that can in some cases have detrimental effects simply based on that. In some cases, some people just forget everything and run. They're so scared about what they see. Again, they formed a judgment because it seems one way, so they form a judgment and they just take off, not taking the time to really look at the thing properly and see what exactly is this. And then the third thing that people do is that when they see the crisis come or they see a situation, rather than be up in arms and just take off, they stop, they look, they analyze, they twist, they turn, they pay attention, and then they decide, okay, well, I need to step up to this plate. Let me face this challenge and rise above it. So we face everything and rise. When things aren't going right, some people would see it as a problem. Others would see it as an opportunity for improvement. Let me read that again. When things are not going right, some would see it as a problem. Others would see it as an opportunity for improvement. I can give a whole long lecture just on that alone. Sorry. But here's what I want us to start bringing it home. When people are faced with a crisis, many choose to look at all that is going wrong and all that could go wrong. For me personally, I have taken the other way around. What I tend to do is look beyond the crisis for one simple reason. It has happened already. What has happened already. I remember when my daughter got involved in the accident. It was a fatal accident. She died a few years ago. And over the next few days, I got a barrage of calls from people, and people who want to advise me on what to do with insurance and what company to go to and where to do this and whole number of things that we now had to look at after the effect. But they were so overwhelmed with the whole situation, and who want to go and look for the driver and all whole heap of crazy stuff. One gentleman called me and we had a conversation. I said, listen, at the end of the day, it's just one thing that concerns me. She is already past. The accident has already happened. She is already gone. What I need to focus on from here is what happens from this point onwards. So I could have stayed in that zone and dwell in the crisis, or I could now look beyond it and see I have a family to take care of. We have a life beyond here. How do we now navigate from this point onwards? And that's how I choose to deal with crisis. So when you look at your present circumstances, do you see your life in crisis? Or do you see opportunities. People's reactions to danger depend on the people's reaction to danger depend a lot on how they are wired, what they've learned in the past, their exposure to stress, and their preconceived notions of what constitutes danger. If you're primed to be afraid of flying, you're more likely to have a strong reaction to things going on in an airplane, such as turbulence. However, you might not have the same response in another circumstance. For example, you'll probably react differently if you're in a fire. That is from a psychologist by the name of Russell Schillingman. That is a significant note, because as I said, everybody reacts differently based on how they interpret circumstances. And what you're saying, those interpretations would be preconditioned by a number of different factors that would have prevailed along your life coming up. So when we look at our present circumstance, this is us. This is not the world that we have grown accustomed to just a few months ago. In almost a split second, literally within days to hours to weeks, the world has changed from being what we are accustomed to now this, where people have to stand a certain distance apart from each other all over the world. Everybody has to be walking around with sanitizer and soap and water and disinfectant and some kind of, to keep their hands clean, gloves, masks, all that kind of stuff. Streets are basically vacant for hours at a time or even days. This is a global thing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I don't have to go into sort of detail with this. This is happening now. This is not like history we're recalling. We are all seeing this on a day-to-day basis. Yes, some countries have started to open back their borders and, open up the streets for people to start moving around, etc., etc. But that has had some backlash, but we won't get into that. I just wanted to present the point. This is our current situation all over the world. Do we see crisis here, or do we also see, in the midst of this, there are opportunities? One essential component that is being affected everywhere during this time of this COVID-19 lockdown scenario is money. And for some strange reason, once you start to talk money, some people start to twist their head and watch you funny. But the reality is, nothing we can do on this earth doesn't require money one way or the other. That's how we have become. We are at that point in our existence as human beings. There is hardly a thing, if any, that we can do that does not involve money. Whether yours, whether somebody else's. It requires money. So let me give you a bit of history. In 2008, and of course this is for people who are listening for the first time. In 2008, the financial crisis is the worst. That financial crisis was the worst economic disaster since the Great Depression of 1929. And it occurred despite the U.S. Federal Reserve Treasury Department's effort to prevent it. It's interesting to me every time I talk to people about this and other similar type of opportunities, they're quick to ask, what is the U.S. saying about it? Well, the U.S. is not God. Sorry to say it how it might sound. The U.S. is not God, and they're not after God. They're not next in line, so it's not God, U.S., and then whatever. And we need to understand there is a whole big world, which I will show you in a bit, beyond the borders of the United States of America. And that is something that we need to take into consideration. The Federal Reserve, we'll talk a little bit more about that coming down the road. But you could well imagine the varied reactions from people in that scenario of that crisis when the Lehman Brothers Bank, probably the biggest bank in America, crashed, and it had spin-off effect. We, even here in Trinidad and Tobago, got affected by it, some of us not even aware, with the whole Clico fiasco and the Hindu Credit Union and a couple of other insurance companies that got hit serious. And of course, the members who would have been contributing, citizens like you and I, we also got hit serious lash from that thing. Well, that was connected to that whole scenario in 2008. People committed suicide. A lot of people lost all their properties. Their houses were taken. Whole set of things happened. But coming out of that, while most of the world was seeing crisis, a group of individuals, or an individual, I say or because up to now nobody knows whether this is one person or if this was a group of persons acting under a sobriquet. But something was released on the internet, a white paper for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system by the name of Bitcoin. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution, namely the banks. So the Bitcoin came on the scene in 2008. If you track back in your memory, you would also realize a number of significant changes started to happen with other areas of business and life as we know it. If we think about the telephone, I mean, look, right now, just even little children going to primary school have a cell phone in their bag or in their pocket. Mommy or daddy send them with that. Long ago, if you had an emergency, you had to make a phone call, you would be running all over town looking for a phone booth. Now you have your phone booth walking with you in your pocket. We've moved away from leaving home, taking a taxi, go down to the post office, buy a stamp, stick it on a letter. That is after you spend 2 days writing the letter. Now you sit at home in the comfort of your living room or your bedroom with your laptop or even on your phone and send an email. Music has gone to a different level. We're now doing digital downloads. No need to carry and walk around with cases of CDs and cassettes as the case may be. Imagine Amazon now and even Facebook has a movie site where you can go just like the old Blockbuster where you used to go and rent your videos, your VHS and stuff. Now you can rent them on Amazon. You can rent them on Facebook. And there are other companies who are coming up with similar type of procedures. We'll talk about travel. Now we have gone the place of where you all remember Flintstone. I had to put in that little joke there. But now transportation has reached to the point that it is now driverless. Uber brought in a case of, if you want to call it, ownerless, so that Uber had a worldwide taxi service without even owning one vehicle. Now it has gone to a different level where vehicles are now coming to pick you up without a driver. And that's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reality of it. But while all this was happening, a company was birthed in 2004 that today has become global because this company also saw an opportunity in the midst of the crisis. And this company, which I'm a part of, which we want to share with you tonight, goes by the name of OneLife. And we exist in all 6 continents. We exist in over 190 countries. This is just a sample of the membership. And this is not even current. This was like a few years ago. Our current membership is above 3.6 million globally. And what is the mission of the company? OneLife's network mission is to enable a global community of web users to take active part in using and improving new cutting-edge digital products and services. But point 2 is what I really like to focus on. We also aim to increase the quality of life of members. That, to me, is significant. And I'll show you where the company has stood true to this word by providing systems and services that we, the members, can now live an improved quality of life. So just as technology has changed and a number of things in the business world has changed, doesn't it seem logical if everything is going the way of digital, having moved from one stage to the next? Doesn't it make sense that money would eventually evolve as well? A lot of people seem to forget that the cash system that we use today wasn't always the currency of the day. That had a start. But before that, something else was used. And before any kind of physical commodity was used for trading, people just used to trade what they had for goods and services. So I would trade with you some fruits for maybe some some rice grain that you had, or I may want you to do a particular service for me, maybe to fix my fence because I may not be skilled with that, and I pay you with some fruits or livestock that I may have in my possession. That is what people used to do as money in the original sense. It was called bartering, and of course over time that grew, and people started using different, even before coins, people started to use things like even salt, different types of shells, and coals was even money at one point in time. But then gold and silver coins became very popular, and it became the money of the day. That grew over a few centuries to what we have now, which is the paper currency we use today called fiat. And the word fiat is a Latin phrase, a Latin word, sorry, which means let it be so. It is a government decreed money. The value that fiat currency has is ascribed to it by the government that owns it. That's why a government out of the blue can decide we're going to change the value of the currency. And more often than not, the value goes downwards, but we'll get more into that. So the paper system moved into plastic, credit cards, debit cards. And I'll show you something just now. And over the last decade or so, we had a barrage of digital payment systems coming to the fore. PayPal, Apple Pay, Android Pay, Google Pay, Alipay, WeChat. WeChat is dominating China. We have M-Pesa in Kenya and a whole heap of them. But here's one significant factor. After paper currency came into being, everything thereafter was still hinged on paper currency. So even the digital systems that exist, practically all of them today, still tie back to use on the back end to transferring paper currency from one place to an next. And I'll show you why that in a while. While that is not as good as it seems, and you are actually losing in the long run. So therefore, the next logical step is to go, because we've actually gone digital, is to go fully digital by what we call digital coins or cryptocurrency. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrencies are protocols that allow the validation of transactions without the need of a third party such as banks, credit card companies, or escrow agent. Escrow agent is like a holding company. They will hold your money for a certain time and then release it. It is referred to as virtual gold. Is interesting. Why virtual gold? Because the concept behind gold is simply this. There is a finite amount of gold in the earth. If we mine all the gold out of the earth, God isn't going to put a second batch and say, okay, they take out all, let me give them some more for the next 10,000 years to deal with. No. Whenever we remove all the gold from the earth, all is moved. So what it means is that every time gold is found, it means there is less gold to be found. So the supply becomes smaller, but the demand for gold is growing. That causes the value of gold to keep going up and up. Cryptocurrencies is designed to behave similarly in that there is a finite amount, and as you mine cryptocurrency, and that's the term we use for creating it, it's called mining. As we continue to mine the cryptocurrencies, there are less remaining to be mined, and that causes the value to go up. Cryptocurrencies are created on something called a blockchain. A blockchain is a digital technology that records and verifies transactions. So look at this. So the cryptocurrency is the protocol that allows for the validation of the transactions, whereas the blockchain is the actual technology that records and verifies the transactions. So a cryptocurrency cannot exist without a blockchain. Likewise, it will be foolhardy to think that you can utilize a blockchain without using it for its original intended purpose. Yes, they are using it for a number of different things. But to feel that you can now take blockchain, use it for everything else besides what it is originally created for, that's a kind of crazy move when you think about it. The blockchain's ledger can trace and track anything of value. It is based on protocols that authenticate, validate, and store information in consistent and unbroken sequences that make the system safer by eliminating any attempts of fraud, duplicity, and forgery. You ever heard of a case where 2 or 3 people own the same piece of land or maybe own the same vehicle and they all have a deed for it, or they all have some document showing that they are the original owner? That's what we call duplicity. Well, of course, it's fraud. But that's duplicity. The same amount of money buying. No, that's crazy. Blockchain eliminates that. Companies that now deal with things like music and the arts have started to implement blockchain, because from the time the product leaves the creator, the producer, they can now track every step along the way, right up to who purchases it. So it eliminates, at least it helps eliminate the whole issue of piracy, which is something that plagued the entertainment industry for years. So
it is.
Before I bring my boy here, remember, the origin of cryptocurrency, it was designed to be a peer-to-peer system of payment by having to not utilize the banks. Now, whenever we raise the bank talk, a lot of people up in arms, because all they are aware that the banks are robbing them blindly. The banks are hitting them hard shots. They won't leave the banks. They still have faith in the banks. But here's this gentleman. He is from the European Parliament. And hear him talk about the banks. These are facts that the average citizen need to know but doesn't know.
It is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money, and yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
That man deserves a standing ovation. The reason why we can talk this confidently, ladies and gentlemen, is because of this, which I want to get into now. If I had heard that same speech, if I had seen that same video about 3 years ago, prior to getting involved in this business, I would have looked at it, I might have smiled, I might have laughed at some of the things he said, and I would just continue with life as normal, because I would have had no clue about some of the things he's talking about, how the central banks operate and manipulating LIBOR and all that kind of. I would be lost totally where that is concerned. But because of this, which is the heart of our company, this is the main thing that we focus on financial education, not only for yourself, for older persons, even for children. We have an arm of the company that focuses on financial education for the children. If you think back in your life, at what point were you exposed to any serious kind of financial education in all your years of schooling? And yet, since even before we started to attend school, we started to interact with money. We have lived all our lives, we went to school, we worked, we retired, and nowhere on that journey were we put anywhere to sit and explain what exactly is this thing called money and finance. Well, that is what our One Academy does, ladies and gentlemen. And we offer 3 different packages of, should I say, categories of financial education. We have some what I call general finance that gives you 7 levels of training that is equivalent to university level training. We have forex level training, forex packages that takes you up to, I believe, is 5 levels, which is equivalent to like a master trader. So you learn to trade forex, foreign exchange. The foreign exchange market, for those who don't know, is a $5 trillion a day industry. That is how much money exchange hands on the forex market on a daily basis. And then we have a series of packages that go into the legal definitions and the legal framework around cryptocurrencies, because not every country interprets cryptocurrencies as the same way. And then, of course, that means if you live here, for instance, in Trinidad, and let's assume we have one policy, and you go to maybe Switzerland, just calling a country, they may have a totally different approach to cryptocurrencies. If you don't know and you attempt to use it there, you may get yourself in trouble. Again, just to give you the idea of how countries differ, because there are some countries that would see cryptocurrencies as money. There are others who would simply see it as an asset that has to be traded. You cannot use it to pay anybody for anything with it. Sorry. So what we encourage you today, ladies and gentlemen, is to take the courses, learn the material, get the certificates, because you get certificates at the end of doing your course. And of course, help to duplicate the process by helping others to get on board and see this. Because let's face it, the more educated people we have in the world, I think we would be all the better off for it. Do you agree? So the logical question would be then, why do we need cryptocurrencies in the first place? Understanding that cryptocurrency is a form of money, but why do we need that specific form of money? Why it couldn't be something else? Why we can't do something with the current financial system, as it were, to come away from whatever some of the pitfalls and some of the challenges that it may have and fix it? The reality is that it cannot be fixed. Because of how it is designed, it is a debt-based system. If it is a debt-based system, it means debt will continually be rising. That's why America today is like about at least at the last count I had, was like about $21 trillion in debt. How are they paying off that? Who is going to pay off that? You know, what they're going to pay it off with. So we need to move away from that kind of system altogether. And of course, that current debt-based system heavily involves the banking scenario. And this is what cryptocurrency was designed to circumvent. So here's why the world needs cryptocurrency. These represent populations around the world, or should I say percentages around the world, of persons that do not use formal or semi-formal financial services. If you look at the Central American bloc, where it says 65%, and look at the color scheme above, that's us. According to this figure, between 51 to 75% of adults in the Caribbean and Central America region do not have or use formal or semi-formal financial services. That means like things like banks, credit unions, as the case may be. And there might be a number of reasons for it. In some cases, they just can't afford it because banking costs. It's not a case of just put money in the bank and leave it and come back next 3 years and get the same thing, or with interest. You will get less because every month they take out fees for holding your money. In fact, when you put money in the bank, it's even no longer yours. That's a next story by itself. But these are things we don't know. We weren't taught. And it's only because of getting involved in this business I became aware of all of these things. When I put my hard-earned money in the bank, it is no longer mine. It is the bank's money. But that is for next time. Here's another reason why we need cryptocurrency. Remittances. Do you know that Western Union raked in close to 600 billion? This is a 2016 figure. I could well imagine what 2017 and 2018 might have been. But in 2016, close to 600 billion is what we paid Western Union to send our money from one point of the earth to the other. This is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. What about global trade? The ability to buy and sell goods, ease of settlement for cross-border purchases, etc. Cost of fraud, restrictions on where and what you can buy or sell. Cryptocurrency will eliminate that. This came out. This is not cryptocurrency related, but just to give you an idea. This is just after our government brought a new $100 bill on the market. It's interesting to know that shortly after that, the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago raised prices because the supplier of their raw material, and a couple of them mentioned here, like the National Flour Mills, Angostura, who makes rum and other types of alcohol and other products, their prices was signaled to go up. So the supermarkets say, okay, now we're not taking that, we pass that on to the consumer. How that happened? All you do was swap the old $100 to a new one. That is a significant thing. A lot of people haven't thought about that. In a notice to its customer, the bank said, this is Republic Bank, that as a result of the ongoing challenge with foreign exchange availability, US dollar spending on Republic Bank credit cards have been reduced to 12,000 US. Again, we're talking about business to be able to, because we import a lot of what we use in Trinidad and Tobago. How do we pay for it? This is how most merchants pay for their stuff, via credit card. That means now we have less things coming in. So now people will want to hoard and raise prices. There is a spin-off effect to this all how. And then very important, protecting your income and your wealth. What does this mean? Simple. As I pointed out, the present financial system, as it were, with the kind of money we use called fiat, it is losing value every single day. It is losing value every single day. So debt is rising, value is decreasing. What does that mean for you, me and you? It means every day our spending power is decreasing rapidly. We're talking about preserving wealth. Well, this is Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. This was a Ash Wednesday post, I think a couple years ago, 2019. No, sorry, 2020. 4.6 billion US missing, lost in errors and omissions. These are the people who have to sign off at governmental level, and they cannot account for 4.6 billion US over a 7-year period. We're talking about protecting our wealth and our income, ladies and gentlemen. Blockchain and cryptocurrency, this could not have happened. No way. This is a page from page 48 from level 1, Introduction to Finance. It says, many central banks have failed in this respect. The aforementioned example of the Federal Reserve of the United States is a notorious one. since after the establishment of this institution in 1913, the dollar has lost over 95% of its value as of today. And this actually was like around 2015 or 2016 when the One Academy was in 2015 when the One Academy was instituted. We in 2020. The US dollar has lost over 95% of its value, of its buying power. What does that mean? Let's look at it in terms of a TT dollar. That means what you could have done in 2020 with $100, 1 year later, would you be able to buy the same amount of goods and services? And you will get a unanimous no whenever you ask this question. So here's what we need to look at. Fiat money is guaranteed, whether you have the TT, the US, the Euro, the Pound, the Deutschmark, it matters not. All fiat operate on the same basis. They are a government decreed value. And they are guaranteed, because of how the system is designed, to go down in value. That means your spending power, your buying power decreases. With cryptocurrency, and more so with our cryptocurrency, and you'll see why just now, forget whether the value goes up or down, because I'm sure you would have heard those terms being bantered around where cryptocurrencies is concerned. At least it is not guaranteed to decrease. It may very well decrease, but it's not guaranteed. However, fiat, there's no way around it. You could say what you want. You could bump and weave, and it doesn't matter what you say, what you try, what you do. It will continue to lose value. That is a fundamental difference between them, ladies and gentlemen. So what does that mean? Happy shopping. It's just another graphic to illustrate the point. So here's what we do. We invite you to participate in what we call our online university called One Academy for just 1 year. Purchase one of our packages. And what I'm going to show you is what we call a middle order package. We have packages that starts from as low as 1610 TT, $1,610 TT, all the way up to 500,000 plus. And we have packages in between. With each package, you get a certain amount of what is called free tokens that you will mine to get your coins, and we will show you that. You also get, based on your package, a certain level or levels of our financial education courses. This package gives you up to level 5. So it means you have from level 1 up to level 5. With this package, that would cost just around $65,000 TT. You will get 48,800 tokens for free, and you will get 3 what we call splits. A split essentially is a doubling effect on your tokens. Every so often the company generates a split, and whatever tokens people have that have not been mined, they will double. So this process will happen 3 times with this package, and you will end up with 390,400 tokens. Our cryptocurrency called onecoin has constantly been growing, increasing in value over the period of the 5 years that we've been here. To date, it has actually moved 21 times, and I'll show you something in a bit. The current value is 42.43 euro. That translates to about $360 TT, roughly. If we use a difficulty rate of 500 to 1, 500 simply meaning 500 tokens are used to create one coin. With that ratio, you will end up with 780 one coins, ladies and gentlemen. 1 year later, let's say that value goes up to 50 euro. Those 780 coins will now be worth to you $312,320. What system can you tell me of where you can use only $65,000? Get involved in a program that teaches you about finance, about mining, about trading, about commodities, about assets, about financial management, and still come out with something that is worth over $250,000, and you can actually use and get that in your hand through what we call our dealshaker platform, and I'm coming to that in a bit. So as I said, our coin has increased in value over 21 times between 2015 to present. I want you to take a look at this video quickly. This is what is happening now, currently now, around the world. This is China.
By 2020, mobile wallets on our smartphones are expected to surpass the use of credit and debit cards in the U.S.
On the streets of Beijing, cash is definitely not king.
What do you think of people who use cash to pay for things?
That's rare and weird, he says. Only the elderly and people who don't know how to use a phone pay cash. This woman says, I rarely take my wallet when I go out, just my phone. That's because those phones can buy just about anything, from clothes in the store to steamed buns on the street.
One of the big reasons mobile payments have caught on so quickly here in China is because of what most people here don't have in their wallets: credit cards. They basically went from a cash-based society to a cashless one and skipped the step in between.
China has leapfrogged the U.S. into going to a cashless society.
Andy Mock is an economist in Beijing. He says China's cashless revolution has happened in just 3 years, largely thanks to these things called QR codes. You simply scan them with your phone to pay. Nearly every business and person has one. From the farmer's market to the musician on the street playing for a mobile tip.
You can give a homeless person money with your phone. You would never see that in the U.S.
All you have to do is scan that code to transfer money. And it really is ubiquitous in China, from the largest cities, the fanciest hotels, to the most humble street side shacks will all use QR codes.
The Chinese are comfortable doing everything on their phones, while in the U.S., credit cards and online shopping via personal computers still rule.
These kinds of legacy technologies make any adoption of newer generations of technologies much more slower. So in this sense, I think the U.S. has a little bit of catching up to do.
A recent survey found that 40% of Chinese people carry less than $15 on them, but they would never dream of leaving home without this. As one guy told me on the street, you can't achieve anything without your phone.
You can't achieve anything without your phone.
Talk about changing times, even as some American communities are bucking the trend toward stores that don't take cash. Mark Phillips tells us there's already a country that hardly uses it at all.
There's a strong IT, digital entrepreneurship phase in Sweden now, where entrepreneurial companies really want to challenge the old banking industry by providing these new innovative mobile payment services.
The old banking industry has reacted, with 6 of Sweden's largest banks banding together in 2012 to build an instantaneous mobile payment platform, Swish.
We share the development costs. We see that customers are adopting new technology like mobile payments, and of course we also saw this need where we could replace cash.
The idea that banks could cooperate to kill off cash might be unthinkable elsewhere. But it's not so surprising in Sweden, where bills and coins recently constituted less than 3% of the country's domestic product. That's compared to an average across the euro area of almost 10%. Many bank branches here no longer carry hard currency. Homeless magazine vendors like Jimmy here use wireless card readers to accept credit and debit card payments. And then I press this? Yeah. And certain cell phone stores sport signs saying no cash accepted. But in Sweden, which printed Europe's first banknotes 350 years ago, these new technologies have not stopped the central bank from designing new notes for 2015.
This is a security feature that will be on all of them.
Susanna Gruffman may control the country's physical currency, but says she herself never carries cash.
We are quite neutral, even though we are the one who provide the society with cash. We don't necessarily say that cash is, for example, when you look at efficiency, the best payment instrument.
Interesting. So although they are the ones putting the cash out there, she herself doesn't use it. And what she said last note, we, she didn't say she said, she said we, so she's speaking on behalf of the central bank, they do not tell the people that cash is the most effective payment systems, although they are putting the cash out there for people. But she herself, but you notice the little snicker in the guy's voice when he said that piece? She herself doesn't carry cash, and he had a little snicker in his voice there. But let's move on.
There's close to $1 million worth of product here. All yours for $400K.
What's the catch?
I got burned out of the business. Decided to liquidate for my mental health.
Stent's about to make the exchange. Should we move in?
We can make this bust in our sleep. I'm waiting for the vigilante.
$400K of assorted cryptocurrencies, as requested. I do miss the old ways.
You made a briefcase full of money? No thanks.
A briefcase full of money. No thanks. No thanks. So, we need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, around the world, and let's be specific to us in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a population of 1.3 million people. Look at the countries that have been adopting digital payment systems and have been moving away from cash. China, look at, I mean, the man said it, I couldn't be any plainer than that. And that's why I said we need to stop looking at America as just after God. Here are countries that are proving to be much more advanced than the mighty US, where these kind of things are concerned. Less than 3% cash-based business happening in Sweden. China, people, when you ask, I've seen some interviews where they ask people when was the last time they used cash, and people tell you 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. As he said, the average person doesn't even walk around with $15 in their pocket, and they do every single thing with cash. So what is our goal? Our goal is to make this our particular cryptocurrency, and you will see why in a little bit, to make it the _1 cryptocurrency in the world, the most usable. And once you have the usability, you will have expansion, you will have market capitalization. Because the more people get to understand that they can use this cryptocurrency as is, without having to trade it, without having to sell it back for cash, they can pay for goods and services just as is. It is causing our platform to grow. So we have what we call our one ecosystem, which is a whole world centered around the use of the coin. And it is designed to what? To create a world without inflation and interest on loans, a safe world without anonymity and illegal online activities. That's one of the big things. Secure and not volatile payment options, a range of activities all around the world. Payment method which authorities can count and rely on. We do this, ladies and gentlemen, by this other arm of the business we've launched in February 2017 called dealshaker. Dealshaker is an active e-commerce hub. Dealshaker is our active e-commerce hub. And all around the world, ladies and gentlemen, people have been using Dealshaker. We have been doing it for we've done about 15 in a little over a year. Right here in Trinidad, we've had people from all of the Caribbean, some of our brethren from up there, Jamaica, Barbados, St. Martin, Suriname, come and participate with us. We had people coming from all Europe. And we go from country to country and participate in each other's bazaars and expos. And we've been doing that all around the world, ladies and gentlemen, since the launch of this thing in 2017. As I said, not because you may not see it means it doesn't exist. The world is a big place. There are over 7 billion persons on the face of the earth. We have only 3.5 million. It's a lot, but it's still small by way of the population of the earth, and we are spread amongst many countries. So obviously, this is not something that you would see as easily as a number of other things. But we have been doing this all over the world: Vietnam, Kazakhstan, and Russia, and China, and Japan, up the Caribbean, Central America, all over Europe. We've been holding these expos and bazaars where we bring buyers and shoppers together. People who have coins, OneCoins, and want to spend, and merchants who have goods to sell that are willing to accept the OneCoin as payment. And this has been us. These are just 14 of the 15 bazaars and marketplaces that we've done from September 2019. What year are we? 2018, sorry. September 2018. Sorry. Expos have been happening around the world as well. France, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, Japan, as I said, Russia, and a whole Bulgaria, Belarus, Romania, and a lot of course, we had ours here in Trinidad and Tobago in 2018. And just to give you a little taste, this is what our expo looked like. If you haven't seen it before, yes, it was on the news, but this is what our expo looked like in Hilton in 2018.
Trinidad Hilton was today the host to a dealshaker expo where shoppers had the opportunity to peruse a vast number of booths and pay for their items totally or in part with cryptocurrency. The event put together by the OneLife network was an effort to promote the use of cryptocurrency, which they believe represents the future of trading.
Since I arrived already, I have done my massage, did my nails, I'm having my hair done later on, I'm buying a dress, I bought a house. What else can I ask? I came all the way here with my coins, which I mined with a value of cents, and now I'm using it with a value of more than 20 euros.
I so love to see that clip. In one breath, she did her nails, she did her hair, she bought a dress, she bought a house. When last you hear people talk like that, ladies and gentlemen? And with such confidence and poise, no big set like it's just another day in the park. Yeah, I bought a house. Why? Because she could afford to do it. And you heard what she said. When she came to Trinidad, she came from Spain. She came with a coin that she mined at a value of cents. Now she's actually using the coin at the time with a value of more than 20 euros. Today we are using the coin with a value of more than 40 euros. So what are other countries saying about cryptocurrency? This is what I was telling you about. Some call it a virtual commodity, some call it a virtual asset, some call it digital currency, some call it a payment token. So this is why you need to understand the legal implications and peculiarities about cryptocurrencies, how different nations and different regions perceive it. This is Xi Jinping from China. Blockchain is priority. Republic of China's President Xi Jinping said we must take the blockchain as an important breakthrough for independent innovation of core technologies. Why? Because blockchain is disrupting all of these and even more types of businesses around the world. I'm almost finished, ladies and gentlemen. The banking and finance, number one, because that is what blockchain and cryptocurrency came out to start to interfere with. Real estate have been started to use blockchain. The music industry, as I mentioned before, have started to use blockchain. Auditing, imagine you have blockchain controlled auditing. You know how much crime you go and eliminate in that process. Well, don't talk about the education system and cloud storage, because it tracks and traces everything of value. So that how could somebody break in your cloud storage and steal what you have without it being registered on the blockchain? You see how it has value? So our aim is, our target is to have a community of 10 million users, meaning members like myself who own and have OneCoins and are willing to use it to pay for goods and services. 1 million merchants who are willing to accept the coin. To date, we have over 126,000 on our platform in just the space of 3 years. And we want this to be a 2-year target. Now, this was a 2-year target. We missed the target, so we have reset ourselves again. So further 2 years, let's see if we can hit this target. We are inviting you to be a part of this community, ladies and gentlemen. You would hear some more testimonies, most likely later on if we have time. But you can also join in our midday Zoom and hear a lot about how this has been creating a different way of life for a number of people. You would notice that at no point have I talked about investment or investing, because this is not about investing anything. What we do, we sell education packages. With the packages, you get free tokens, which you have the option to mine for OneCoins, which you can now spend on our DealShaker platform. So I just want to leave you with this one video. It's very short. And immediately I hand right back over to my host, Mr. Cadiz. You know, the hardest thing for us in life to accept is change. Change is inevitable. The only thing constant in life is change. Yet it is the most difficult thing for people to grasp, understand, and accept. Change. My bank sent a credit card for me. The new credit cards now, they call it a chip card. So I asked the lady, I know we have this new card coming up, but is it that I have to switch to this card, or do I have a choice that I could maintain the old card? She said, I'm sorry, sir, but you could hold on to the old one for a while, but eventually you'll have to give it up because this is where we're going. I had no choice in the matter. I could argue, beat up, from fuss how much I wanted. If I wanted to use the credit card, which I do because it's part of my business, I had no choice but to accept the new one. Because holding on to the old one was a waste of time. I would be left holding on to a card that I cannot use. No sense. Anybody saw the video recently with the self-parking car in Trinidad, down in Port of Spain, in Cocorie area? Anybody saw that video? Budweiser had a truck driving all over the US, driverless, going and do deliveries from state to state. Domino's Pizza have been doing that for a while, and a number of different countries. We feel because it ain't happened in Trinidad yet, it ain't gonna happen. Well, ain't all you have cell phone in all your hand? A few years ago, when we used to be lining up by the phone booth with a bag of quarters, you ever thought you would have a cell phone in your pocket? It's here now though. In fact, you're watching on it now though, because we have internet too, and high speed too. You didn't think that was possible? We used to watch that on TV. The old Batman, Dick Tracy, James Bond, 007, and that was science fiction. Well, not fiction again, people. Now they have reusable rockets. They launch the thing into space and the rocket's coming back to Earth and land. That's the thing we used to watch on TV. People, only wake up. I'm not saying these things to frighten people, but I want you to understand that the world changing, and you will change with it, either by choice or by force. The option is yours, but bet your bottom dollar we're not going back to the way it was. The sooner we understand that, the sooner we start to progress and get things in our order. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Powerful presentation there by our presenter, Mr. Eric Alvarez. Definitely, he gave us a lot to think about. Forget everything and rise. Education is the key to success. The world of business is not changing anymore. It has changed. We have to learn and lead through education, and you are your greatest asset. So we invite you to come and experience the magic of value appreciation through compound interest as shown in the presentation. This has been your One Academy, One Life presentation, business presentation, coming to you out of the Caribbean. And definitely it was impactful. We do hope that you would join us again. We would like to acknowledge the presence of our Indonesian One Life brothers in the room. Actually, the time is just about 8:03, or it's supposed to be around 9:03 in terms of Bali, or Jayapura it's 10:03. So we acknowledge those persons on the call from Indonesia this evening. I would just like to hand over to our Blue Diamond leader, Cordell King James, for his closing remarks. Cordell?
Hey, Katie. Pleasant good night, everyone. Katie's East Trouble, you know. I must say, Eric, I'm left with no words, man. I think we should just have you close the call. I feel that should be done. But definitely intriguing presentation, very comprehensive. And I wouldn't believe anyone brand new, existing, buy a new package, please, with immediate effect. Why not? Yeah, have everything to win. I am reminded of a few things this evening. One of them was I had some real good conversation with Mr. Samla Singh today. And we was just throwing out some thought-provoking thoughts amongst each other. But then when he left, I was thinking back to my daughter a couple of days before. I came inside and I said, listen, hand your mother this money. And the big one, she always playing and she don't want to touch money. And I don't want to touch it. And then I said, Kiara, take this to your mother. She don't want to touch your money either. I'm saying these children don't want to touch this money. In my day and age, as Eric showed all this flashback of what we used to be in my day and age, we couldn't wait to touch, play, and get money in our hands. Now these children don't want, and it's blue dollar notes, $100 TT notes that I had, and they don't want to touch it. It's the new ones, not the old ones. And they don't want to touch it. That was amazing to me. And then when I tell the little one, she gonna get a napkin and say, put it on this. And she'll carry it for her mother. And no, it's not a little jovial, but this is just the harsh reality of the future. These children are accustomed to digital products. I bet you if I hand her a cell phone, I hand her a laptop, I hand her any one of those functions or methods or anything of that nature, she would have touched it for sure. She would have touched it for sure. So for me, this step forward with cryptocurrency is the natural progression of reality, natural progression of life. It is a natural next step for you and I to live in. You have seen, you have heard tonight, you have witnessed, you have experienced, and you have understood that the cell phone wasn't always there, and you're watching it now. You're watching me on it, you was watching the man on it. We are living in a damn age where many of the things that we do, our grandparents couldn't dream to have during their dispensation. Do not think that this is a pony show or something that's going to just fly away, but know it, that is a real reality. Eric pointed out something that really had me thinking. One of the key things he spoke about or he mentioned was if he would have saw the video 3-4 years ago of the British man that was speaking, Mr. Peter Bloom, if he had saw that video 3-4 years ago, whatever Mr. Bloom would have shared, he would have not understood. And that's all of us. I don't take for granted that opportunity of understanding when I see, hear, and read things now, because my eyes, the veil, have been lifted from my face and my eyes is open. So when I see nonsense, I can identify as nonsense. I just read something about the post-COVID report in Trinidad and Tobago, and I read to the section of finance or the section. Let me quote it. Let me quote it properly. Look, my wife helped me here. I read the temptation to a permanent welfare state leading to bankruptcy or persistent poverty. And he went on to speak about what could happen if we do this action or if we don't do this action, and the whole paragraph of talk and him speaking said nothing of relevance, nothing of sense. So the people who conduct our world today, friends, they don't have the answers. You and I have the answer. And we would never have the answer 4 years ago. But because of this One Academy opportunity, and if you don't have the One Academy package, get it now. Because of this One Academy package, I can tell you and I can tell the government what the answers they need to do in order to progress and not to be concerned. This is our opportunity. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it would not have been an option. 2008, the birth of Bitcoin was the birth of a freedom movement to allow us to open up our brain and our understanding. That is what happened in 2008. Prior to that, we have never had an option to see our appreciating currency. All we knew in life was depreciation. So this this rejuvenation, this recalculation, this whatever you want to call it, that is going to happen to the financial world. Welcome to being a part. Because we, my friends, have it correct. And you could be a part of us and have it correct, or you'll be one of the bystanders that are going to watch it. I say, I wish I had it correct. Either which way, we are going to have it correct. That's the point. So be with us and celebrate with us while we have it correct, or just watch us celebrate having it correct. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm all about that one life for more life, my friends. Get started today. Become a hero and a legend today. Your family and you can be the ones destined to be. One's out.
One's out, Captain. President.